Air 650 back here with another Armory series of Krazy Cat Airsoft, and today we're going to be looking at our VFC Mark 16, our SCAR-L. So my Mark 16 SCAR-L here, I've had this since my college days. I really abused this gun, and I really mean really abused this gun. When me and a teammate bought this, we decided not to open the gearbox, clean it out. We were just going to run it till we broke it. Part of it, we were intimidated by the gearbox a little bit. Version 2, but because of the ambidextrous fire selector, we heard it was a little difficult to take. Makes the disassembly a little more difficult. Later on, when more internet guides came out, it turned out it's really not a big deal. You just need a really small Allen wrench. So I ran it really hard, ran it in several different configurations, EGLM, which I still have that. But in its current form, we have it almost set up as a Recce Rifle, kind of filling in that kind of more recon role. But, you know, I want to have a magnified optic, and I want to be a rifleman that is tilting a little bit towards the DMR role. This is the rifle I'll grab. So, starting from the very front, right now I have a almost a surefire replica brake on here with just a cheap plastic. It's just for looks. Pec box. I do have the PWS SRX rail extension made by Mad Bull. Reason being, with this gun, it's actually light enough. I don't have much crap up front. I do like to use the Magpul vertical foregrip. This is one of the few guns I actually can hold up the gun like this for extended periods of time, that being the key point, extended periods of time. Additionally, if it starts getting heavy, I can always grab in front of, grab behind it. But in order to effectively use this, the lower rail was just too short, so I got the extension on here. Additionally, occasionally when I was doing that thumb over bore, sometimes this would sometimes get in the way. You can either switch it over to the other side, but I decided I wanted to kind of leave it here. That way, if I needed to adjust my hop up, I could just pull the handle back and push the bolt release, do my hop up adjustments, and let it fly forward. Externally, there's no real modifications other than the front rail. Of course, your general, I have a magnified replica optic. And then the only real big difference is that on this one, on this SCAR, I do have a Magpul style fire selector, which I really enjoy. Grip, can't really change these out. They actually sit, the receiver and how they sit, they're actually proprietary to the point where you can only use VFC's grip. The stock, this is probably one of the weak points of the SCAR. You can fit a normal mini battery here, but I found that these buttons have a tendency to break, so we've replaced a few of those. And of course, our common mod, we've have it go to a battery bag. Moving on into the internals, basically I ran the gearbox until it finally had a plastic bushing brake, and then the tappet plate, and the gears got pretty gnarled up. So I replaced it all with modified bearings. I've replaced it with a brass polished cylinder. The cylinder head, I believe, is a Modify. It tends to be my go-to on there. And then a Garter O-ring air nozzle. I believe it uses the G3. It's not an M4 length air nozzle, so make sure you go on the internet. If you're going to upgrade one, make sure you go on the internet and make sure you get the right size for it. The piston is a G&G reinforced, and this goes against my general philosophy. I am running G&P high torque gears. Normally, if I was running G&P high torque gears, I'd also go with the G&G piston, but everything tends to work okay. It's just a little noisier. Motor. And again, this is kind of going back because it's using an SRS, I think it's SRC motor, high torque motor. They just make some of the torquiest motors, and they're cheap. And I think And I think what I did is I actually just kind of took that out of that SRC 416, which pretty much just got parted out. The barrel is a Miracle barrel. And then going on to the hop-up, I used a modified, it's a Garter 2-piece barrel. I removed the original VFC one, which tends to be a weak point of the gun. Now, when I used it in college, it wasn't a problem since I was operating at 350 FPS with .2s. Since then, I've gone with heavier BBs. So modifying the gun to do that, it's not that hard. It just gets a little difficult attaching the upper receiver to the lower receiver since you have to actually disassemble. Make sure the barrel comes a little loose, and it's kind of a little trick to get it in, but it works great. This is also what I call in our high-end loaner, so this is kind of a nicer gun than the KWA that we loan out. So if we have a few members on the team that don't actually own their own gun, so we'll give them we'll lend them one of our nice high-end ones. If I'm not using it, in which case I would lend them one of our ACRs. So I really like this gun. This one, there's a lot of nostalgia with it, and since I had it all through college, or had it for most of my college airsoft career, especially when we were sponsored. So I really love it. The only complaint about it right now is the optic. They didn't tap the screws right, so the whole thing's tilted to the left, so I'm going to re-tap those. Speaking of Air 650, that's a look at our team's VFC Mark 16, our SCAR-L. So hope you enjoyed it, and kind of give you an idea of what we run and how we've modified.